Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Stephen Four. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yo, what's happening, everybody?
So, the ATC has come and gone, and it's still on everybody's minds. I think we got a lot to talk about today. I would just like to say I had a great time at the event, personally, hanging out.
Wow, Robbie B, I couldn't agree with that anymore. I had an amazing time, and simultaneously, it is definitely on all of our minds.
Mm.
There was a lot of firsts. Can we talk about that at ATC? This is the first time the Mobile Beats Lab pulled up to almost the front door of the Coliseum that ATC is held in. It was in all its glory. I think I started a movement, Robbie B. Do you know how many people were like, I own a camper? Why haven't I thought of this idea? Why haven't I? I was like, well, guess what? We're all going to do this next year. We're going to have our own mobile city. We're going to call it Mobile City 1.
It's like ATC tailgating.
Wait, damn it. Rob just beat me to it. It's like, are you saying ATC tailgate party?
ATC tailgate party is a real thing. 2019. Get tickets now. When I mean get tickets, buy a camper, and then call ATC, call the campground and tell them, Camp Jordan, you want a spot. When I mean we were close, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody who didn't know, the big camper that was long ways with a big white truck next to it and coolers and tents and chairs that were sitting right outside, the road that you had to pass to get on that was 20 or 73 feet from the door, that was us. We were shirtless, grilling out, drinking beers the entire weekend. It was an absolute blast.
It was something. I don't know why we hadn't thought about that already. That was like the most amazing thing ever.
It's what we do there. And it was really sad because there was some, I won't say misinformation because it was out there. There was a mistake in the chain of command that was passing down whether or not you could actually drink at this event. And it was released that you can absolutely have alcohol in the room, in the hall, and everybody was hyped. Everybody was hyped. They're bringing in their coolers. And then before the first round on Friday morning, there was a, wait a second, you actually cannot have alcohol. Everybody put it up. So we were like, all right, guys, don't worry. We're going to be drinking at our house this weekend. So y'all just walk on over. Didn't affect us whatsoever.
Damn, I put out a huge press release because when I heard that you were allowed and it was BYOB, I did that shit on Friday live on Twitch.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Obviously, we were still drinking the entire weekend inside, but when we heard it, I was like, my first thing was, well, this is what happens when you can't control it. You just condone it, right? I mean, that's most of the time what the government does. So I was like, all right, this is cool. And then they're like retracted. I was like, oh, okay, got it. This was an insurance policy. They're like, we are not going to condone drinking and then let something else happen. So either way, but it was an absolute blast. I was probably more inebriated over the weekend than I was not inebriated. So it was a great time. Shout out to every one of my opponents that I played. They were amazing. Had a great game. Red played triple Tesseracts and beat the brakes off of me. Come to find out, we had test games. I beat Tesseracts if I go first. I beat Tesseracts if they don't roll a 5 or a 6 to infiltrate 3 Tesseracts and the Deceiver 9 inches away from me. So I was like, oh, I feel good. I'll take this matchup. Kenny, guess what happened?
You went second.
I went second. Guess also what happened?
They rolled 5s and 6s.
They rolled all 5s and 6s. So I had triple Tesseract and the Deceiver 9 inches away from me. Turn 1. This is problematic. So, played Reggie round 6. Amazing game. I played 2 Daves. They were both bigger than I. One was just a lot older. So I will call them both Big Daves, round 1 and round 5. Great opponents. Overall, Sam played him round 4. Great game. Couldn't imagine a better ATC. And now that that's out of the way, I'm ready.
All right, turning it over to Rob, keeping the momentum here because we have a limited amount of time. Rob, break it down. Wait, hold on. Did you hear a tiny dog? You didn't hear that shit.
Not at all.
Nope, I did not hear Saren bark.
Or a dog of tiny stature. So coming out next week is maybe the game everybody's been waiting for. I'm personally waiting for Titanicus, but there's a lot of folks excited for Kill Team that's coming in hot next week. The starter box, the rules books, all that stuff's coming out next week. So, and all the terrain, which I think, I don't know. I've heard, I don't know. Some people are more excited for the terrain. Some people are just excited to just get the rules and play. Remember, you guys ever remember playing like Lunchhammer, Warhammer, and the Flash, all that stuff back in like 3rd, 4th edition days? Like that was the heat. And Kill Team's kind of the same with a little bit of campaign flair to it. So
I'm ready for Kill Team. I haven't played that other stuff, Robbie B, but I am very excited for Kill Team.
So yeah, I think folks are either ready to go on the Kill Team or just want to pick it up for the train. Either way, it's all coming out next week. So you got the Kill Team starter box set for $130. It looks to be a really good value. We broke down the kind of the assumed values that are going to be there. You can check out the article over on Spikey Bits, of course. But we'll know for sure when it all hits and they kind of break down and we see what comes in every box. But Kill Team core game, $130, going on pre-order this week. The Kill Team core manual, which is your rules, which apparently also comes in the core box, are going to be $40. They've got 2 teams coming out. One is Space Wolves, one is Orcs. Those both are $60 each. They come with a squad and some terrain. So not as big of a value as the core box, supposedly, but still a decent value. And it's just something you can kind of pick up and play with and be ready to go. Then they have data cards. They also have 4 sets of terrain coming out, which I guess are replacing the old City Fight or Cities of Death terrain from yesteryear. So you got a Basilicanum, a real word, the Sanctum, the Administratum, and the Ruins all coming out. Now, the Basilicanum, I don't even know how to say these words. That's $100. The Sanctum is $75. Administratum is $50, and the Ruins box set is $35. And those will be out as well. Then they've got something called the Sector Mechanicus, which is kind of like another combo box of the terrain that's also coming out. That's existing terrain that we've already seen, not new terrain, existing terrain from the Sector Mechanicum line. And that is $80. And then there's a Kill Team squad carry case. So if you just need to carry your 10 dudes down to the store, painting, working on them, painting on them, just need to put them in a box real quick, throw it underneath your shoulder or whatever. Those carry cases are $35, and they got those cool little zigzag foam in them that folks seem to like for the smaller models. I personally don't have an opinion on it. Yeah, you got one of those cases, right?
I'm behind it. I've got the Ard case, the sealed, airtight, watertight, all that kind of stuff, and it has 6 of those zigzag foams. At first, I was like, "Yo, this is terrible," and then I started before I actually put my hands on it. I use it now, and I can fit a lot. I can remove those zigzags, fit so much more per square inch that I can, 9 times out of 10, because I'm playing bugs, the entire stack of 3 on the left, I'll put small models in, and then I will remove all the foam out of the right one and just put bubble wrap and fit all my big guys in that open space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was saying. They're more for the little dudes, right? They're not really for...
No. You're not putting anything bigger than, maybe a Hive Guard or a Centurion, really fit in that. But because you can fit so much, you're not going to fit a whole collection, but you'll fit a 2,000 point army list in that arcade style. So
nice. Yeah, that's that looks like to be a solid product just for carrying some dudes around. Might be good for Shadespire. It might have the Kill Team logo on the front, but hey, there's no reason not to put your Shadespire stuff in there, I suppose. So I'm definitely going to be checking that one out because the little squad combat stuff seems to be a lot easier to get games in with these days. So that is all of the Kill Team stuff going on pre-order for this week, this Saturday. Still on the horizon. We got Titanicus, of course, the Kill Team box set that's Skirmish. It's It's called Rogue Traders. Don't exactly know when that's coming out. There's still a knight on the horizon, the Knight Preceptor. Haven't seen him yet. What else is there? There's we know Orcs, Gene Stealer Cult. I know Jesus is waiting on that one, and Space Wolves. Don't know.
Game changing. Gene Stealer Cult. Game changing.
Yeah, for sure. So that's Tabletop Market Watch. And since I'm still talking, you guys haven't stopped me yet. I would personally like to apologize to the community, the hobby community, my opponents, the organizers of the ATC. As you may have heard by now, my list, I won the Age of Sigmar event at the ATCs. My list happened to be over 10 points. I was mispointed by 20 points on one of my units. A lot of reasons why that happened, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to know how many points my models cost. Doesn't matter if something doesn't show up on an army builder. It doesn't matter if the two army builders conflict from Games Workshop site. It's still my responsibility to know my points for my army. And it was pointed out to me that, hey, your army might be over. I'm like, there's no way I'm bad at math. Well, it turns out I was bad at math. And very, very embarrassed by the whole ordeal. And, I obviously, as soon as I found out, called up the organizers, disqualified myself from the event, and gave myself a self-imposed ban on Age of Sigmar events for the rest of the year, just because I didn't really know what else to do. I got to feel that pain, like, hey, I need to make sure my stuff is right from now on. Played 3 great games against 3 great opponents, had a blast at the event. Some folks have asked, hey, if you didn't have that unit or whatever, would you still done well? It doesn't really matter at that point, because it's all an infraction, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if I used the model that I had that was over points. It's still using something that I did not legally have in my list, no matter what. And I did use the unit at least once every game. So as far as that goes, I am guilty of cheating, and I apologize to everyone. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, Rob, that's there's been a subject we've been bringing up on and on, is the shades of gray that is cheating, right? So being over points, intent is impossible to prove. This is why you're saying that it's the same as cheating. We can't prove if Rob did it on purpose or not. And so there has to be a penalty. Now, whether or not is to be seen. If a governing body shows up that controls these things, what they would say the appropriate penalty is. But that transitions right into a conversation I just had with Reese, not even a couple hours before the show. Reese, if you guys didn't know, we're at a Frontline Game. He handled business. He's the mastermind behind the ITC format, LVO, Bay Area Open, SoCal Open, all this amazing shit, right? So we talked, and my dog's about to lose her shit. Do you guys see this shit? So here's how it went down. I talked to him. I said, hey man, can we talk for a minute? He said, yeah. I was like, I got some ideas. Well, I actually talked to my brother David, and this is what he brought up. He's like, hey man, I think Reese needs to step up and be the leader right now. He might already be doing that, because we need a governing body. We need a player code of conduct. We need to actually lay this shit out. So I hit him with that shit. I was like, hey man, here's my thoughts on it. Like NFL, different degrees of penalties. Not every penalty is half the distance of the goal line. Some of them are just 5 yards, right? Some of them are fucking game suspensions though.
Some of them are fresh set of downs. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know where you're at. I'd like to see a strike system, a penalty system, something come into play. You're the leader. Everyone's looking to you for guidance right now. What do you think about this? He's like, actually, I just got off the phone. We're talking about implementing that right now. A lot of what you just said is exactly what we're talking about pushing forward. So I predict, honestly, that you're going to see something like having a 2,000 point list and then using war gear not including in your list be this type of penalty that occurs this many strikes. I think way at the bottom of the scale, you're going to see sloppy play. Then maybe right above that, you're going to see 10 points over, to use your example, worth X amount of strikes. Once you get enough strikes, you're actually going to have to set out the next couple of ITC events based on severity and occurrence. So here's how. Go for it.
So I just want to chime in and make sure that we understand that, in my opinion, the number one thing, a mistake at the end of the day is a mistake. That mistake has got to be held to the same standard, to a certain level of standard, to people who don't make mistakes, right? A person who makes a mistake is not as hitting on all cylinders, obviously someone who isn't making mistakes. But at the end of the day, if this isn't happening, and you see this across all sports just about, a first-time infraction for just about anything is less severe than someone who is a repeat offender. Okay. And that's exactly the part that I want to hone in on. I am so excited, so happy for the fact that we are soon, with one of the best tournament formats that we've ever seen in this hobby, are about to be able to follow people on their hobby score. We're about to follow people on their battle point score as overall. We're about to be able to follow who's the best Astra Militarum player to the best Age of Sigmar player of their faction. Now we can also track and find out the shitty individuals who constantly are doing this negativeness to the hobby.
Mm-hmm. Or even the people that are bad at math.
Or even, obviously, like, again, someone who makes a mistake, like those people. But again, if I can promise you this much, Robbie B, you will have, I know you as a person, you will not be making the same mistake twice. You know what I mean? You will have other people checking your list. You will have this and this. It will not be, that's just the type of person you are.
Yeah, no, and no doubt. But let me finalize this. So I talked to him. We had a good talk, and at the end of it, this is what I got hit with. Frontline Gaming will be putting out a code of conduct, a player's ethics guide. Actually, it will be named Floor Rules in the Spirit of Poker. So Floor Rules version 1 document will be out as early as the day after tomorrow, aka Friday this week. Their goal is to have that up and downloadable that fucking fast. So ITC is definitely stepping up. Frontline Gaming is definitely coming to clutch. We said it here before. Juice has. This is the NFL now. Mm-hmm. They're the NFL. They need to step up. They need to create the rules, and it will be in alpha, then in beta, waiting on players to comment and give them feedback. Just on the same level that ITC is actually evolving their missions. So Bay Area Open this year will be the last time we use the missions in this current format. And then by SoCal Open, they will evolve based on player input. So that's where we're at. That just happened. That's a real quote from Reese.
That's awesome. That
I
is
like it.
Best thing for the game that I can imagine is them releasing this. And also, it might have went under the radar for, ladies and gentlemen, 3 days before ATC. Matter of fact, the Tuesday before ATC, they released their chess clock document, showing how to use it and which way, you do this, you pass clocks off doing this way. So we are, I'm going to say 3 months. I'll say it could be as quick as 3 months away from having the tightest the tightest tournament structure, not just ATC, not just Adepticon, structure that we have ever seen in this hobby.
Yo, and I just want to throw, you kept saying ITC, and it's something jogged my memory from this weekend. I didn't even know there was an ITC for Age of Sigmar. The gentleman judging our event was actually the points leader for the ITC on the Age of Sigmar side. And I was like, I literally didn't even know that. Like, that's awesome to see. Like, that I guess maybe I would have had ITC points, or maybe if Reese wants to use that, if that was ITC and wants to use what happened with me as an example for the whole thing with the new floor rules, I definitely think that would be neat, to help be the example, for people to understand it and stuff. So, yeah, I had no idea. So if you're in the Age of Sigmar and you want to check out some competitive play, apparently there's a lot of ITC events.
There's an ITC track for Shadespire.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And every one of their shows, they always break down who the top 5, because before it was just 40K and Fantasy or Age of Sigmar. So they would do top 10. But now, because there's so many different tracks, they only break down the top 5.
That's awesome. Pretty cool. Hey, let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back from this commercial break and talk about what Juice's personal experiences were at ATCs. This is the moment a lot of you guys have been waiting for if you didn't catch the webcast. Boots on the ground coming up next. Finally, the Long War swag is here. LongWarSwag.com, the official home of Long War merchandise. We've got a range of merchandise exclusive to the Long War brand, Next Level Painting, and Spikey Bits. Definitely log in today while supplies lasts.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
ElrixHobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elrix Hobbies. ElrixHobbies.com. Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com. And we're back. Juice, walk us through it.
It's time. So we went very in depth, got a lot of my personal feelings and whatnot in the web show. If you guys haven't already, the only way to get that, if you're listening, driving, or anything else, is you got to head to longwar.net, become a veteran of Long War today. And that is where the webcast will be. So either way, facts of 2018 ATC. Team Happy and the Wobbly Modelers, which I'm a part of, played round 2. I'm going to start from Jump Street to say that their team demolished us. Their team demolished us. We had 2 potential scandals throughout, and to be honest, neither one of those were a necessity to happen to beat us because they were so far ahead at the time. So that's also what makes it, in my opinion, a tragedy, is that why cheat individuals that you're already beating? You know, in my opinion, I think it's almost like a mindset at this point. But so either way, facts, that's what we're here for. Aaron A. Long and I played. You might have heard about this individual. He is won a lot of major events. I believe he's won Adepticon. He's won IT or Nova before. He's won Invitationals. He's also been known to be a certain type of character. I am playing against him. This is where the plasma pistol incident, plasma pistol gate, and potentially even the alligator gate, which we didn't even talk about in the webcast. Facts. Aaron A. Long, after talking with Frankie, his first round opponent, Aaron A. Long used plasma pistols on his sister superiors from his Seraphim squads against Frankie. He tried to use said pistol against me after he realized that his Infernus pistols did not kill my Mawlock at the bottom of round 3. His Infernus pistols did not kill my Mawlock. He then turned and said, "Oh, I'll use my plasma pistols." A good pro tip for anyone out there, a mantra of mine, and I'm going to use Mike Taylor as an example. I don't trust individuals that say that they pay points for plasma pistols. Not saying that I believe they're lying to me, but in my opinion, no one ever really finds points left to give their sergeants, their company commanders, plasma pistols. I've been doing this tactic for years now. I will not call them out to be a cheater. I will just simply grab their list because they give it to you at the beginning of every round. They give you a list, so use it. I will check. Mike Taylor, the Invitational, shot me with a plasma pistol. I did not call him a liar. I picked it up, looked, hey, his company commander has a plasma pistol. I put the list down. That is just a practice that I do. I do the same thing against Aaron A. Long. Come to find out, he does not have a plasma pistol. None there. For anybody who says that's not a big deal, that is the farthest from the truth. It is a big deal because that is the best plasma pistol that the universe has ever created. Faith points allows them to double move, so they can always shoot their plasma pistol at a quality target turn 1 if they would like. The faith points also allow them to double shoot, meaning that plasma pistol is always going to see 2 shots in every game. That plasma pistol can always be used in close combat. If they're in close combat, right? So it's the best one in the game. In fact, he tried to use it against me. I called it on him. He admitted, was like, oh, sorry, I don't have it. Now, again, that can be a mistake, but also with certain histories, that is not a mistake. Who knows? Again, it is what it is. We're talking facts. One other thing that I want to talk about.
Well, that's why you asked. That's why you went and asked Frankie.
Frankie, because the man told me, I looked at him, I was like, you're telling me because, and another thing, I don't go to Shane and Chris at this point in time. I don't say, oh my God, he used this against me, because I don't need to. Aaron and I looked at each other and I got my point across. I told him exactly how I feel, and I got mine at the table. I didn't need to say anything else, but I told him that once I talk to Frankie, he's not going to tell me that you use plasma pistols, right? No, absolutely not. He isn't going to tell you that. Okay, fine. So I didn't go out of my way to find him right then. When I ran across him Saturday morning is a different story. Also, another thing that I want to talk about, these are facts. This isn't hearsay. This isn't what happened at the end of round 3 on Saturday, because we played round 2. This is Friday evening. I'm not talking about what happened on Saturday when a lot of people came together and trying to rumor mill, well, he was using plasma pistols in round 3. This is also, let me debunk a fact. That Team Happy, Aaron Along, did not use a plasma pistol on turn 3, nor from what I understand for the rest of the tournament, because I sought out and asked the individuals that they played. So that was also a rumor that it happened, and it did not. But again, we're stuck on facts right now. Round 2, Team Happy. Ernan Rodriguez, one of our players, one of our clutch players for 2 years in a row. He was one of the reasons why we placed 3rd last year, and he's definitely one of the reasons why we placed 6th this year out of 74 teams. He's playing Tony Grupondo with his LVO award-winning list, almost verbatim the same list, because except he had to obviously move for the rule of 3 and move over for the point cost and Dark Reapers, but for the most part, an exact list. We want to talk about slow play. It's time to talk about this. This is a great example of it. Ernan Rodriguez knew exactly going into this game, exactly how to handle certain situations. And he is also a strong enough willed individual to make sure that if he's feeling some type of way, he's going to make sure it's known. Facts. In a shooting phase, round 2, Ernan loses 10 Plague Bearers. He loses fails a leadership check and loses another 7 more. That means there is 1 left out of his 18-man unit. Tony Grupondo does not believe that is correct. He believes he killed the entire unit. The dead pile is still on the table. They've walked it over and over. At this point in time, they call judges over. We have multiple judges over at their table. They're saying this isn't right. Ernan's at this point. It's like, guys, I left the models here. You killed 10. I rolled this for the leadership. The leadership dice is still there. We have 7 models left. Before the judges is called, Tony Grupondo looks at Ernan Rodriguez, one of the most stand-up individuals I know, and calls him a cheater. You are cheating. Uses that word. We don't throw that terminology around very lightly in the 40K community. If someone rolls hot dice, you're like, you go rolled hot dice. You literally, a guy who's been known for cheating is calling this man a cheater. He comes over after debating back and forth because a slow game benefits Tony, a fast game benefits Ernie Rodriguez. After 10 minutes of wasting time, they've decided that they will now dice off to figure out who is right. Ernan won the roll, even though he has his model set aside. Ernan is done with his turn 2. It is now going into Tony's turn 2. He moves psychic phase. One of the first rolls that he does is Executioner, trying to cast it on a 7. Ernan, who just got done playing Eldar, says, wait a second, I don't believe a 7 is right. I believe it's higher than that because I just got done playing it. Tony says, no, it's a 7. Ernan calls him, says, let's check a book. He grabs his book. Tony grabs his book, goes to open up pages without putting eyes on the psychic abilities, reading that is an 8. He says, oh, you're right, it's an 8. And at this point, Ernan gives a life talk. A life talk saying, Tony, you were supposed to be an ambassador to this game. You, sir, should be held to a higher standard. This is ridiculous. Just because I am a nobody in this game does not mean that you are going to roll over me. So that's it. These are 2 facts from Team Wobbly Maulers, myself of playing Aaron Along and playing Ernie Rodriguez playing Tony Grupondo. So as we digress going further down the road, there is quorums that happen in round 3 between certain individuals. Okay. Time gets called. It does not get very far. That happens again in round 4. Models, again, we were talking about the model gate. We're trying to cover all this in a short amount of time. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Along is playing with unapproved models after he told me that they were approved. He did say that to my face. For anyone else to say that he didn't was a lie, because when I brought them up in round 4 after I accidentally knocked over his Saint for the 2nd time, as he wanted to point out, I said, man, don't say something to me when you've got this guy all, cockeyed and such a precarious individual. But he didn't want to claim Wobbly Model because he told me that Wobbly Model doesn't exist. earlier when I tried to say that it does. He had too much gall in his game to say that it doesn't exist. So that's why he kept his model up there and then wanted to say something. I accidentally knock it over on a precarious building. That these little Rough Riders that were turtles and lizards and alligators, So either way, the problem is that when a man says, I did get them approved, and Shane, who's doing all the approving, says, you did not get them approved, this is a lie. This is, again, a character flaw. This is where we're at. These are facts. This is not bashing anybody. I've already proven that this team beat the hell out of us without it. So it's not like I have too much of an ego to say I would have won if it wasn't for this, or our team would have done this. We are saying hardcore facts. Also, I want to touch on how this mob mentality works for Justin Curtis. Justin Curtis releases as part of Team Happy this million-long paragraph deposition almost of how they did kind of do wrong, but you want to know what? At the end of the day, we were singled out because we're the winners. No, there's been cheating scandals for every year that something has ever won. We can trace back. If anybody wants to know, we can call them out if you guys want. I can go into details exactly throughout the years. Tim Gorham, you kidding me? Tim Gorham used against Mike McCaffrey 3 years ago now after this past one, in 5th edition, talking about the aura effect of Grey Knights minusing leadership, or minusing invulnerable saves by 1, and it's stacking. And Mike McCaffrey saying, wow, man, you just won the Invitational. You just won all these big events. I follow you. Like, absolutely, you must be right. And then come to find out, absolutely cheated the man. His Fate Weaver that had a 3-up invulnerable, come to find out still had a 3-up invulnerable. These stupid little psychic checks that Tim was casting did not reduce his invulnerable save. It just reduced his leadership by 1 that didn't stack. And when confronted that next morning that he cheated him, and Mike McCaffrey thought that he was going to right the ship, Tim looks at him and was like, oh, well, the game's over now. So that's the foundation that you win a tournament on? How dare you? And I don't care. I'm saying all these things knowing that this entire team is going to try to confront me and try to say things. Oh, well, we haven't spoke. Like, absolutely not. That is pathetic. This is a different 40K. There is a reason why the mob mentality, Justin Curtis, that you speak of, is because the room was sick of the shenanigans. Now, shout out to Shane and Chris, because you want to know what? Someone has to be an adult. Someone has to say that this or the chain of events. And I do believe, and I know for a fact, that the mob mentality, and I'm using this in air quotes, did not sway their opinion one way or the other, because if it did have an opinion, they would have kicked your guys' asses out at the end of round 3 Saturday morning. But they didn't. Even though they were under scrutiny the entire time, even though individuals were calling them out on the internet, were accosting them, were telling them how they were spineless and everything else, they didn't sway. They said no. Defending the fact of you guys. So watch out before you ever say that they swayed to the mob mentality. Well, you guys weren't in the room then. You guys were in your own little universe. Okay. Taking responsibility for your actions is acceptable. Understanding that the game of 40K in front of you is less than the game of 40K as a whole. That's your problem.
I think this is a good thing. A lot of folks at the event were saying it took too long to, there was a lot of rumors going around and a lot of people didn't know what was happening. But Chris and Shane, when the infractions were provable, they were able to get them out of there. People were like, why didn't they look at the conversions ahead of time? It's very hard to go around and look at everything always. It's hard to check every list. Like, that's why they turned them in, two weeks in advance or something like that.
2 weeks, 2 weeks in advance. They spent their entire July 4th formatting it to make sure that we all had our list on July 5th. They did their due diligence.
We live in a society where you are innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't matter if people think you're a cheater. It doesn't matter if people have never heard of you. You deserve the same due process no matter who you are. And I feel like that was in effect this weekend. I personally saw those conversions myself. There was some little catachans wrestling alligators. I thought they were neat. I had no idea what they were, because I'll be honest with you, when I walked up to the table, I said, hey, what's up, guys? And nobody said anything to me. I was like, all right, word. So I just kind of looked around and I bebopped out because whatever, you say something, you usually get a greeting. You don't get a greeting back, fine, whatever, no big deal. But if they said, oh, hey, what's up, Rob? Oh, hey, what are these? These are really neat. Oh, those are Rough Riders. I would have been like, I don't know, those seem a little small for Rough Riders, bro. But, I wouldn't even personally have thought to be like, hey, and did you get that approved by Shane? Because at that point, if they're on the table, they should be approved, right? So they were neat conversions. I don't think they were worthy of Rough Rider status. Besides the point.
I'm sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, you just kind of summarizing everything. There was a lot of factors in play. A lot of emotions were running high because a lot of rumors were going around at the time about these guys. Yes, the room was focused on them because of all the things of the past. If anything's guilty, if anybody's guilty of anything, maybe they shouldn't have been allowed at the event in the first place, or maybe they should have just looked at themselves and been like, maybe we shouldn't just go to this event because maybe the timing's not right. I don't know, but either way, the event's played out.
I had a long conversation with Justin Curtis specifically about this Saturday night after round 5 had concluded, and I said, guys, look, I will speak to anybody on the team. I'm telling you right now because you're standing in front of me. Guys, it's not worth it. Who cares about this next win? Like, do you understand the credibility to this that will happen if you guys just say, you want to know what? Our wires got crossed. We are in another scandal. Even though we're just 6 months removed from another scandal, that was the biggest one ever that got the community involved, that got GW involved, that got Riot Games involved. We are held completely different right now. Like, it needs to calm down before this, and they don't want to listen to any of it. And instead, they do a press release saying that there's a mob mentality and there's a certain group going around. Let me tell you what, and let me debunk something else. Kelsey Haley and Mark Parker both were asked 1 million times, as per was I, asked what was happening, what is this going on? So yeah, those two individuals absolutely said, hey, these guys fucking cheated with this. These guys did this. He got caught cheating using a plasma pistol. Now, obviously, Aaron A. righted the ship in my game. But again, if you have to be so on people, that you have to find that they're cheating. What are they doing that you're not even knowing? That's part of the frustration that the team had, and the entire time. And I want to say this before I lose my train of thought. I was approached a lot by individuals that mean a lot to me in the game and everything else. And I just want to make sure that we all are on the same page right now, because this is where I stand. This is where I said it before. Chris, Shane, Mel, Chad, who makes trophies, everything else, the ATC as a whole is a part of my 40K lineage. I'm embedded because I love this tournament so much. If you have a problem with how they were run, how this and this, how you are never going to go back, that's fine. That's what you're going to do. Don't bring that shit to me. Do not think that I'm going to agree with you in any form or fashion. To side against one of my single favorite tournaments out of the year because you got salty that the rounds took a little longer to put out, that you got salty that potentially they didn't get kicked out or a ban didn't happen sooner or later. Shane and Chris, love these guys together. They're the greatest human beings alive. Absolutely the single best tournament in my opinion, and we run events at Adepticon. We run events here and there. One of my favorite events out of the entire year, and I will always go as long as it's around.
Yeah, let me jump in on this. Thank you, Juice, for bringing that impassioned piece, the impassioned editorial, psych, facts, all facts. So what Juice is talking about is this is all what he observed, these boots on the ground. A lot of what you guys are reading on the internet is hearsay. Bowles put out a super damaging and irresponsible article like 1:30 in the morning on Monday, editorial, all hearsay. Very damaging.
Well, they did claim that they had heard from eyewitnesses at the event.
Well, I have an eyewitness here in my podcast telling you.
Two,
as a matter of fact. So it's a super irresponsible move on their part. It potentially damaged ATC. We'll see how much it damaged them in the upcoming months. So a lot of people are getting their facts from that. And I understand on the internet, what you read first oftentimes is what you hold precious. Well, we're here to tell you there's a lot more to the story than that. Okay. So there was a scandal at ATC. Team Happy was disqualified. They were about to 4-peat. Team Happy, who knows if they believe this or not, but they're defending themselves, saying that they were singled out because they were going to win. Juice said that, well, what really happened was you have this group of people, the silent majority, who were tired of this shit, and they finally stood up for it. And he supported that argument with Exhibit A. In the last 6 months, certain people on this team, very recently, have been surrounded by scandals. Other people on the team in the previous years have been surrounded by scandals. Aaron Long, multiple scandals on the wrong points in his army, and having convinced tournament organizers and back deal alleys to bring formations or data slates in that other people didn't realize were approved. Tony being the biggest dick on the face of the planet during LVO. Tony being a part of another dick team, year 2 ATCs. Tim Gorm, multiple scandals. These guys are not just getting signaled out because they're fucking going to win for the 4th time. They were in the perfect situation, about to win again, cheated again, scandaled again. People had enough. There's a limit to what people will take. And we found that breaking point. It wasn't on Shane or the other organizers or Chris. It wasn't their fault. Like Rob said, due process. They couldn't Juice can't just go up to Shane and say, this motherfucker said he had plasma pistols when he didn't. Shane can't just go, oh shit, fucking DQ that asshole. He can't do that shit on hearsay. He needs more evidence. He needs to witness some of this shit. He needs to put a judge at their table, which he fucking did.
For 2 rounds.
And then they DQ'd these fools. Things are going to change. Team happy. Hopefully you take some fucking responsibility. Maybe things can change, because I believe everyone has a second chance. I believe everyone can be forgiven if they want to be forgiven. You just take some responsibility.
Take some responsibility. Tim or Tony Grapondo was not on this year's American ETC team because of this. Like at some point in time, you've got to take responsibility and just be like, yo, I am literally being a dick. If everybody in the room is calling you a dick, you're a dick, homie. I'm just saying, as a whole. Excuse me, I had a cough. So that's exactly where we're at. The silent majority has had enough, so that's why the rumor mill started. That's why these guys rose up in arms. And again, I just have to make sure that everybody understands, I give all the credit in the world to Shane and Chris for not listening, not doing what a lot of people did, for example, like Lariat Bowls or Chapter Tactics. They even had to they were so ready on the gun to do a podcast that they recorded their entire podcast before ATC's press release came out. And they had to go back and recut an intro and apologize to everybody because they fell into the hype and didn't understand, just was going on here saying this. So, I mean, we all have to understand that this is a game. This is where we are. The community and internet will blow up anything. But again, here are the absolute facts. No punches held, names being dropped. We all need to be held accountable. We are holding ourselves accountable. So this is where we are. Also, I just want to make sure, and I know we said it in the webcast, please do not take, because most of the people that are listening to us, you family and friend members, you don't play competitively, right? You guys are this and that. Do not take that what we're saying, and because it's yet again another scandal. If you weren't at the top table, your ATC wasn't affected. If you weren't at the top table, your LVO wasn't affected, right? The funnest part of my year sometimes, is going to these major events and hanging out and drinking beers. I got wasted in my fifth game, last game on Saturday against Sam, a Death Guard opponent. We took more shots and drank more beers and laughed and had plenty of time left over. Seeing buddies like Andrew Whitaker and meeting new ones like Reggie, like this is something that you're only going to see these people once a year. This is you, and you immediately, as Kenny has said this multiple times, that if you ran into someone at your office, anything else in an elevator, randomly at a grocery store, it's like, oh, you play 40K? Oh, I play 40K. We're the only 2 people in a 10 block radius that do. We're best friends just because we share this. That's exactly what going to a tournament is. 10 out of 10 times, and sometimes you have to have bullshit, involved. But that's like saying I'm not gonna go to a tournament because of something bad could happen. Well, don't say that, and don't live your life like that, because you'll never get in a car because you might actually get into an accident, right? You'll never get on a plane because it might, live your life. And competitive 40K is amazing. ATC is amazing. I can't wait for any tournament coming up.
Yep. And we're going to be closing this out here soon. Just to reiterate, we went into an extended conversation on the webcast with a Q&A, extra innings. If you guys are looking for the nastiest real talk possible, definitely check out the webcast.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more on there. It's worth checking out.
Yeah, Hall of Veterans. Most of you probably already veterans, so you guys will probably see that notification here in the morning. The podcast is more of a streamlined, informative, public service announcement than anything. We covered a lot of things today, and I just want to end on this as a reminder. A code of conduct is coming soon, as early as this Friday from the ITC. So if you're worried about this and what Juice just said still didn't convince you, don't worry. The powers that be, the good guys, are putting out a code of conduct that they're going to be holding the ITC to, Frontline Gaming's. That's happening. Rob, you want to take us out of this motherfucker?
Well, that's it for tonight. Make sure, like we were saying, head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more, such as tonight's webcast. Become a veteran of the Long War today.